Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today I'm going to be making a recipe that I'm sure my family is not going to love, but we're going to make it anyway because we had most of the ingredients and I wanted to try it, so why not? We're going to be making blueberries and cucumbers with pistachios and yogurt from the Deep Run Roots cookbook. I have it set up right here if you can't see it. Just for my reference, because there's a lot of ingredients that go into this part and I wanted to make sure I got them all right. The first thing we do here is to make the yogurt dressing for this salad. It's kind of a salad. It's got a lot of herbs in it. It's one of the things we had to buy for this. So we make the dressing and then we're gonna put together the cucumbers and the blueberries and all the other stuff, and then it'll be pretty much done. There's no actual cooking in this recipe. And like I said, my family, my husband doesn't like cucumbers, my daughter doesn't like blueberries, and most of them besides me don't like pistachios. So we're gonna see how this goes over. So this is the yogurt dressing, and so it calls for plain Greek yogurt, which I put on my grocery list, and my husband saw that and was like, why does she want a small thing of plain Greek yogurt? This is what she always buys, and bought me the Siggy's Icelandic yogurt plain, like I usually buy myself to have because I like it better than Greek yogurt. So this is a little bit thicker in general. Oh, that reminds me, I forgot one of my ingredients. I'll go get that in a minute. But Icelandic yogurt is a little bit thicker than Greek yogurt in my experience, and not as tart. But I love it. And that's what we have. So that's what we're using today. Let me go get that other ingredient because that's next. So the other ingredient that goes in next is buttermilk. I'm very annoyed that you can't buy buttermilk in a smaller, that I can't generally buy buttermilk in a smaller container than this. And it also doesn't last very long in the refrigerator in my experience. So it's really hard to use up all of this buttermilk, and generally at least half of it goes into the sink when I have made all of the pancakes and biscuits and whatever. So we're gonna add some buttermilk. And now, if it turns out to be a little too thick, I will maybe add a little bit more buttermilk to thin it out because my yogurt is a little thicker than Greek yogurt. So now we're gonna add this is lemon zest and juice. So we're just gonna add that. We put that all in together because it was easier than dirtying another one of these containers. We have some fresh orange juice that I squeezed. We need another ingredient I forgot. Thought I put it over here and didn't. We need a little bit of olive oil here. This recipe has has two ingredients where it's this much divided, and then you have to figure out exactly how much in each step, or in the second step usually it's like the rest of, and then you have to do the math. The math's not hard on this one though, so it's fine. So we have olive oil. We need some salt, which I just spilled all over my countertop. Oh well. We need honey. It really is a tablespoon. This time a scant tablespoon. And so hopefully I will not get too much honey this time. So I need to buy some more honey. This was whipped honey, and so it was creamy, but the top has separated out, so that will be perfect for this application. There we go. And I didn't fill that all the way up to the top because it says scant. So you don't want it overflowing. I guess you don't want it too sweet. And since my yogurt is not as tart, I guess I probably don't need as much anyway. So there we go. Honey, salt, oh, and hot sauce. That is the last ingredient here. I am still working on this huge container of Texas Pete that we got for our whole hog barbecue, but it lasts a really long time in the refrigerator. So normally I probably wouldn't even measure this, but I'm going to because I'm filming. All right, and then we just stir it, or you whisk it together. So I'm gonna try not to get it all over myself and my countertop, and I've already been a failure at that, but whisk this all together, and then, yeah, it's gonna be plenty thin enough, I think, for this. It's not super thick. I was a little worried about that, but. All right. And that is it for the dressing. She says to store this in the refrigerator until you're ready for it covered. I'm just gonna stick it in the refrigerator because we're going to immediately make the rest of this dish. So I'm gonna clean up and come back with the rest. I've done everything, well, not everything, but so I've chopped up my herbs. I've got some minced chives and some torn dill, picked the frondy pieces off, and then I've torn up some mint leaves. I have chopped up some pistachios. Those are just used for garnish. We've washed and measured our blueberries. There's actually a little bit more than we need in there, but that's fine. Now I need to take care of my cucumbers. She calls for 2 medium cucumbers. I have one medium one that has a little bit of a bad spot on it, and one really huge one. So I figure together that's probably about a medium one. So what we're gonna do here is, first I'm going to slice most of the skin off. You can take it all off if you want, that doesn't matter. But you probably don't want all of the skin if you're using a cucumber like this. If you use English cucumbers, I think that's what she calls them. Yeah, English cucumbers, you can probably leave the skin on. I might get a little bit more of that piece off. This is a very Southern thing to do, I think. Just leave a little bit of the skin. I don't know. Anyway, so now I'm going to cut these in half lengthwise, and I'm going to use a little spoon to scoop out the seeds, because those are just watery and not very good, and you don't want your salad to be all watery. And I think English cucumbers don't have as many seeds, but she says to do this with both types. So I've got that. I'm gonna go ahead and slice this one so I have more room on my board. Whatever. And she says, I think 1/2 inch. I need to have my daughter read the really small print, years old now. 1/3 inch half moons. So approximately 1/3 of an inch. I'm just guessing at that. And I'm just gonna put these in this bowl here where we're going to mix all this stuff up as instructed. These are so big, I should have done quarters instead of half moons, but yeah. And in the picture, they are not 1/3 of an inch thick. I'm fairly certain of that, but that's okay. Sometimes the pictures lie, as we have found out with previous recipes here. But they're always beautiful, so. All right, so I'm gonna keep doing that with the rest of my cucumbers. I've gotten a lecture about my cucumbers, and that one was a giant cucumber, not a large, certainly not medium. And so we're going to use just the one. I was also instructed to go ahead and cut them in quarters, and that was already after I had cut most of them. And so that is not happening. Just not going to happen. But so now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients here. Since I'm done with this, I'll just do this here. So I've got my cucumbers. I'm not going to put quite all of these blueberries in because it's a little bit more than the recipe calls for. But yeah, that's about right. Got blueberries, and we're going to add our herbs in here, just all of them. We're going to add some rice wine vinegar. I have rice vinegar. I'm sure it's fine. And my olive oil disappeared because I asked my crew to clean up and they didn't realize that I still needed it. So I got to get that again. So I need a little bit more olive oil in this part. Okay. And then salt. And I'm pretty sure that that is about it for this. And we don't have to let this sit. You're supposed to do this just before you serve it. So I'm just gonna toss this around, and we'll be back to plate this up prettily because that is how you serve this. So we'll be right back. So since this is a very specific way that she says to plate this, I'm gonna go ahead and do that on camera for you guys. And she says to basically puddle half of the yogurt sauce on your dish, your serving dish. And then mound your cucumbers and blueberries on top of that. And let me just get some of my spoon. I'm getting all the blueberries. So I'm just gonna pour it out. So we get some of the blueberries on top, because that will be prettier. All my herbs out of the bowl. Sound guy loves it when I do that. Drizzle it with the remaining sauce. I don't know if I'm going to use all of it, but I'm going to use some of it. It doesn't really stay on top, which explains why it doesn't look like it's on top in the picture, I guess. And I think that's going to be plenty for me for right now. So I have a little extra. And finish with the chopped toasted pistachios, which I had a little single serve bag that I shelled and chopped. And that was almost exactly the right amount. And that's it. That's the dish. We're going to try it and let you know what we think. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make blueberries and cucumbers with pistachios and yogurt. If you recall, I was not sure any of my family would eat this besides me, and my kids didn't love it. Like I said, my daughter doesn't like blueberries at all. They do generally like cucumbers. They tasted it, weren't big fans. But my husband, who doesn't usually eat cucumbers, but does love blueberries, and also doesn't really love yogurt, really enjoyed it, really liked the dressing, and we finished it off mostly by ourselves. So I think it was highly worth it. It was not super hard, no special techniques or equipment that you need for this. It's all, you know, standard things. You, like I said, I used Icelandic yogurt. You could, instead of the Greek yogurt, and that substitution was fine. I would not substitute anything thinner than Greek yogurt, otherwise the dressing would be very thin, because the Icelandic yogurt is really thick and it was still a little bit thin. Not super thin, but like, you know, not super thick ranch thick, but you know. Anyway, we enjoyed it. The herbs made a huge difference, so definitely seek out the fresh herbs for this. A little bit of mint in there and the dill really made a big difference in, like, if you got a bite with that, it was perfect. So if you enjoyed watching me make this, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and come back and watch me make something else next week.